So, hello everybody, welcome to our session today. We want to introduce today our project that we have done at the Islamic Development Bank together, and Amin will do the bigger part of the presentation and to introduce you what was the reason to go for Alfresco, the path we did during the project, and also some outlook, because for Amin it's always an ongoing project, never stop, always get better. And of course, at least I have to mention that the whole project was done in an environment where we had OpenText available and there was SAP available, and now we have Alfresco and SAP. And so we have some SAP connections, but we will hear, of course, about the overall structure. So I introduce, or let me say, Amin will introduce himself right now. I am the CEO of a small company called Pernexas, and we are specialized on the SAP part to integrate with Alfresco. Whenever you have an SAP question, look for the green shirt and feel free to ask me. So that's it. I hand over to Amin, and it would be great to show your project.
Thank you. Thank you all for attending. I hope this is going to be a very interesting presentation for you. I'm going to be focusing on overall picture. If I go into technical details, then forgive me for that, but it's also intended in the overall view. So I work for the IDB, which is the Islamic Development Bank. It's a multilateral development bank, very similar to the World Bank in Washington, the African Development Bank, and the Asian Development Bank. They work with a similar model, and they're aimed to lift off countries that are in poverty or poor countries and take them to a higher and better state. So when we were looking at the enterprise content management concept for the bank, it was the first time that the bank really realized that there is this concept as ECM. And they've never taken it in that picture before. And as we all know, it's all centralized in the concept of centralizing content so that you can make better reporting on it, better utilization, and better collaboration when you centralize this content. So we're looking for a solution to make this concept happen. IDB is also made from 4 other entities. So you can imagine 4 other companies, independent. Each one has its own HR, each one has its own complexities, but they're all joined in the middle by the mother of all the IDB group entity. And we started here inside, where the real business scenario or the core business happens. You can learn more whenever you want through the website or asking me after the session. But at one point, there was an IDB vision that was clearly stating that we want to transform IDB from a financial institution to a knowledge-based institution as well. So, and that's happening also all over the other MDBs. So the focus is also to give knowledge services, not only financial services. You want to be transparent, you want to communicate better, and you want to tell the member countries where to hit the targets in terms of implementing projects, and etc. So that's the mission. And as such, we went shopping for a good solution that will serve this big mission. As you well know, at one point, the strategy was not clear. SharePoint was not giving us enough, implementation-wise. It wasn't strategized from the beginning. And we were looking at default or problems in extending our mission in that sense. And OpenText as well, we started it in an isolated format where a specific department started looking at it from a specific view, from records management only. And when we wanted to expand to our integrations, problems started occurring to us, and financially, the cost was looking very high for us. Things were looking even more complex, and slow and limited adoption was realized when we rolled out the first interface of that platform. So we were hoping for Alfresco to be at a lower cost, easier to use, and adopted faster. In that sense, It was a new product, and this is the way Alfresco in the community is looked at compared to the other implementers. And this was our idea of what is Alfresco. And we're hoping that this stays along the way. So compared to other proprietary platforms, we think that Alfresco is more acting as a real platform and the only one that serves the answer for ECM market, more like the relationship between older mobiles and the new platform like Android and Apple, where this is where our management thinks in this manner. So simple. We looked at it. We selected it because when we were presented with the Alfresco interface, we saw that it covers 80% of what we require out of the box. And as such, we like this ratio, especially that we are investing into fields that we really don't know exactly what are its answers. And if we compare it to the older platforms, they were built on other stack of technologies that the more you extend it, the more you feel that you are being hindered. And as such, we look at Alfresco in this fashion, that it's a platform that can be extended. It had, in perspective, immediately the social cloud-enabled, mobile-enabled perspectives and big data friendly, which works very well with the new perspectives for investing in any platform. The low cost was very ideal for us. Unlimited user support fee was also very complementing, free from vendor lock, and the support for 20% of user base was not present. This is something that we embarked on for 3 years, licensing with Alfresco, and we hope something in this manner stays, because this is really the decision-making that we took as a customer at that time. So we were hoping that such benefit keeps going on, even if Alfresco changes their model. Gartner was also a big impact with our decision. The Nexus 4 was present in Alfresco. This was their ratio regarding rating Alfresco in terms of its modules. And it was ECM complete in that sense. When we look at it, this diagram caused us a lot of confusion, making it, here. And investigating, we thought, well, why are they not able to execute? And then we thought, well, maybe it's left for the choice of the Platinum partner. And then we looked at this model to be different, and we really are advocates of such a model, and we hope that the partners really strengthen each other together to serve at the end the customer. Among all the partners, we chose Westernacher as a Platinum partner. And we thank them for the efforts done so far. Pernexas.
Short interruption, just
Yes,
to mention, there are 2 Westernacher guys that you have also the chance to get in contact, and they have a booth over there also.
And also thanks to Pernexas for the SAP solution, which was very critical for our decision as well. So because we are SAP-based, this was mainly the main conversation that we had to take a decision on this platform. If you look at AIM with their model of information management, where predictable and repeatable processes are at the bottom, and then you get into a variable and unique situation with adaptive case management and email to the maximum. We found Alfresco to be very complementing, of course, to the perspective with SAP. Lotus Note, we use Lotus Note, and we found a partner that implemented a very good plugin for that case. And that was the reason why we chose Alfresco. We look at it in a format of a yin and yang, where the ERP systems like SAP would be very much complemented by Alfresco as an ECM, where the other side is process-based and this side is data-based or information-based. And this was the key reason, again, for embarking on this platform. I need to note here in this picture that there are partners for SAP and there are some solutions that were done before, but in our case, we are a new customer for SAP. We only implemented SAP solutions not more than 4 years ago. And our spectrum of use cases is slightly modern. So we're not relying on the old or the well-matured solutions from SAP. In that case, if somebody has embarked on them before, they would love to see a partner like OpenText, where they provide out-of-the-box mature implementations with their modules. So tight integration to the, the typical SAP interfaces, traditional one. Us, we only take a very standard SAP implementation, like material management, financials, HR modules, out of the box. But then we are relying on a full customization using a UI5 layer from SAP, where now we can build upon a Spring framework or a website. We can create a layer that is really customizable in terms of interface completely from scratch, and users won't see the blue screens of SAP anymore. As such, our focus shifted from any ready-made products like OpenText that gives, and we said, we have an opportunity right now to go and do our own customizations with Alfresco. Especially that the standard part of SAP was guaranteed in terms of our scope using Pernexas. So I can let Volker just speak about how Pernexas helps with the SAP integration and Alfresco.
So coming to this SAP part, a few words about this. As Amin did the introduction already, I think OpenText is well known also, and they have a very long SAP experience and are very well doing there. But they have this long experience for 20 years, and they're carrying this content with them, and they get at the end a very nice end solution, but a pretty inflexible solution. And our approach is to go back and say, let's go to the standards. Let's integrate on a low level in a standard way SAP with Alfresco, and then you can use the existing standard scenarios. There are many of them already available on both sides. And in addition, you can build your own one on top of that, but be not too much pre-configured where you have no chance to change, or if you change, it's getting extremely expensive. So the idea, please just go back to my, I'm not so fast as you. No. So the idea is that you link the SAP objects where you have an invoice or an HR record. You want to link some documents. So the question is, how do I get these two worlds together? And as I was mentioning, there is SAP prepared. They have themselves many document management solutions. You should think about this. And they can store it in many different ways. But we tried to make this HTTP connection, and we certified it against Alfresco and against SAP. And then you are integrated in many different areas in SAP. So you're integrated in all modules. FI, HR, MM, we have heard. There are many different plant maintenance and whatever. So we are integrated in all modules, and also in many of the SAP, let me name it, document management systems, like a DMS system, like the records management system in SAP. So we are integrated in all of them with our connection. But I think you see the living content, having the documents not in a black hole where you cannot access it anymore. It's much better to have it in Alfresco, and you will see later on also in a readable format, so you can access these documents even without SAP. So this is the initial idea of the whole integration that we did with or at IDB. And I think this was also the intention when we had the first talks together. So why could we be maybe a little bit different or better like the old environment? We said, let's make it on a basic thing and on a real standardized way, and then build everything on top. So now we can have a look how this looks like. So we are, I'm not sure who ever saw this beautiful blue SAP screen. Not too many, yeah, but at least some. So maybe it's not very sexy, but the good thing is it's always the same. You see always on the left upper side these services for object, and then you find there the attachment list, and then you see which documents have been attached, and then you can display these documents in the SAP inline viewer. So for the SAP guys, think about an FI clerk. They know their SAP environment. They want to work in this environment, and they don't even see that there is Alfresco behind. I think they are happy with such a solution. We are completely integrated. But when you can move forward, there might be other people, not the FI department, that do more or less never work with SAP, and they are not so happy to go to the SAP screen, then we also have the chance to go to share, having this really user-friendly interface and give them also some information. You see, it's just a small example, that you see if the document is linked to SAP, we have a small icon. Then you see on the right side, there are many additional SAP-related attributes you can search for, like the object number, so the invoice number, or the SAP document type. So many information is available simply in Alfresco that we took from SAP back to Alfresco, and then you can work in the document management system, search for these documents. And we also have in our latest version the chance to, when you found a document in Alfresco and you were, which SAP object belongs? So we made also the link back. So you can open from Alfresco the corresponding SAP object in the SAP Web GUI. So this is just a rough introduction on how we integrate there, how this looks like at the IDB. And now, just a word. So you have heard there was OpenText already in place, but OpenText is not the only source where documents have been stored, because, as I mentioned before, SAP can store documents also in tables inside SAP, in SAP Content Manager. So there are many sources available, and we try to reduce it to one, to Alfresco. And so the problem of the migration, and we see later on it was even a bigger picture that we did, but now only looking at SAP. We had to find all the sources of documents which was in SAP database, in other archiving solutions, and move these documents and metadata to Alfresco. And by the way, just a hint, this is done via SAP. We have a tool where we can collect the documents anywhere. SAP knows where the documents are, call these documents, and store them to Alfresco. And you see, we also take the metadata, so you find these documents and all stored in Alfresco with the metadata. So this was a short introduction on how we did this for the end user, how we did the migration. And now the big migration picture comes, because SAP was only one part of the big migration at IDB, and I think I can hand over to you again.
Yeah, thank you. So a lot of migrations. One of the major ones was the OpenText, because we started with it and we rolled it out for 300 users. You can imagine there was a big chunk of content that's available there. And it was all organized into a file plan, records management-based perspective. So everything was really permission-guided, and the scenario considering creation of content, living documents, was not yet taken into consideration with the OpenText stage. So now we basically extract the metadata with Westernacher, and use a migration tool to, at the end, use the CMIS layer or RESTful services as well to put them into context. Migrating changed the context with Alfresco. Of course, Alfresco provides a site perspective of spaces and sites, and that wasn't present there. Everything there was in a file plan structure. As such, we had to take into consideration how can we liberate this content and make it living documents. So then I'll show you later on, we took a decision in how to segregate the Alfresco platform share to serve project context, departmental context, and committee context, for example. IDB is a big organization, 1,000 employees, very living, very knowledge-based, to be honest. And the client-facing, or the main processes are financial processes that interact with external member countries. We have 56 member countries to serve, and we communicate with them based on governmental relationships and otherwise. And you can imagine the employees, they go for a mission frequently, all the time. They need to report what's going on the ground, and then we can finance these projects regularly. From all that perspective, this is the high level, enabling and steering processes. This is a BPM diagram, high level. If I go into details, I would love to show you this analysis that we did for all of IDB. We captured more than 2,000 processes using the BPM method, and these are the as-is processes, and it's all paper-based. it's still all paper-based, and the communication is very formal, memo-like. Everything needs a memo, etc. And from this analysis, you can see here on the blue side, these are all the documents that are required to finish the due diligences or different processes. This one is, for example, an investment of funds. And what does an officer require to do? So he needs to go over a lot of steps. This is how they see it as is, and that's what they're claiming to do. And there's 2,000 all over IDB, and the as is real. There's a lot of checking with division managers, directors, very hierarchical, very slow. And at the end, you get the final document from all of that process. So we're really looking at solving these problems and changing IDB. And this is the just a quick analysis of statistics of how much types of documents there is. A memo is a lot, reports a lot, requests, letters, forms, evaluations. So then we wanted to prioritize all of this space of PPM information and start by priorities, start by generic things. And what we discover, and we all know that ECM is the foundation for all of these collaborative maturing stages, where things go from a draft, templated, review, goes through some legal department or some HR department and gets approval. So that's the drafting finalization stage, which was really never taken into consideration before this project with us. Things were always looked at archival level and disposition level. That was the biggest flaw with our strategy before. You can imagine during the years, I mean, there's OpenText, there's SharePoint, there's other custom platforms. Everybody was doing everything. But now we're trying to centralize it again. What we did to discover all of that, we did a really quick prototypes, proof of concepts, with the partners, Westnature and Pernexas also quickly. And we connected everything. Our Lotus Note, which was essential for the adoption. Kofax, a lot of Kofax and scanning is dependent on that. SAP integration, we did it quickly. And then we figured out, well, there is a good chance in using all of this ecosystem. Things were looking very bright for us. And I hope they stay. So we're looking at centralizing all of these different solutions. So if this is the flower, if you think about it, we had a vision to serve all of these perspectives of collaboration and make a user-centric application possible, just like the strategy that we took with SAP, where we wanted to give the users easy, because adoption is a really big thing for us. And we struggle a lot, shifting everybody immediately, especially that we have a range of user base that are, let's say, elder and then very young generation and as such. Now, the purple ones, we looked at document management. We said Share does a lot of that thing. Nice to see. Workspaces, very good if we customize it a little bit and make these 3 different flavors. The mobile app, let's accept it the way it is. And knowledge spaces, where we wanted to do community of practices and some other wiki experimentation, even though they're not very mature, but we like the entry point of them for now. Then we have the SAP-based intensive scenario. You can see here it's in pink, so that it highlights it's an integration level, not share anymore. And web content management, we thought, of course, we need to benefit now that things are centralized to improve the isdb.org public website and make it a little bit much more dynamic and live. And then we were very much interested in case management to solve everything that SAP is really not into, because SAP is good for really structured processes design, but not good for adaptive case management where things are still under consideration, need to be very flexible. And we thought, well, the green part could be served by Workdesk, but now we're thinking again, it might not be the case because the interface is a little bit different than Share. Should we invest in Share, yes or no? We're still investigating a lot in that area and how to solve this range. Analytics-wise, things can wait at the end. We're not in a rush, but analytic-wise, it was possible with Alfresco as well. And we're looking to do that at the very last stages. And records management shifted with us, even though we invested in the module from the beginning. But as you saw the scenario, we're moving content into a living format, into collaborative scenarios and spaces. As such, now we're reconsidering records management again from scratch. Especially, you also saw the SAP content coming in, and lots of questions are still valid to be taken into how to dispose and archive. But for now, we said, well, why are we rushing? We don't need to dispose, and we don't need to archive for now. And we're hoping that the path through Alfresco Share will pave the road with records management. And that's the tricky point. Of course, all of these lovely flowers or petals are built upon the infrastructure, image capturing, email integration, document process management, and system archiving integrations, where we have here the immediate needs that we're doing and focusing on, and then planning on investing in BPMs or activity business processes later on to serve more detailed perspectives. This man is a knowledge owner in IDB. He creates, he captures, and he wants to share. So we want him to help in sharing. Then the knowledge manager will help him do that. So they're very shy up there, and they're very restrictive. And we're just introducing that culture now to them all. The supervisor would love to approve, etc., idea generator, content consumer. So we look at that, but we are very interested in this one as well, because this is our relationship between us as internal staff and external world. And the Alfresco Cloud solution gave us a perspective that, hey, we can actually do the external-internal collaboration for the first time. But we're doing that custom-based. As you can see here, this is the internal infrastructure, and this is the external infrastructure. So we're not relying on the cloud services of Alfresco. Why? Because we found out that they are restrictive to our needs in terms of design. We wanted the full-fledged features of Alfresco to be there, and we wanted to extend it on our own basis, like self-registration of employees. And to hit the project scenario of IDB, projects execution is very important. So we wanted to take data from here and publish it, share it, sync it back as such. You can see here many of the sources, eArchive, old systems, file shares that needs to be migrated. So it's all going through migration, Kofax integration, and the others as well. Later on, we're looking and questioning whether we should go with Pantaho and other reporting systems as well, or to invest in our own warehouses, reportings that we have. We have, for example, Tableau as a reporting system already, so we're looking into that questions. So if you think about it, we are in phase 2 for now. We did a lot. We migrated a lot of content successfully, and we are into the departmental rollouts, legal department, audit department, small isolated departments, and then we're looking for a complete rollout after we learn from this phase. Some things that are of interest for you would be that we're looking for a full KM at the end. So Alfresco Share gives us an entry point, but for how long? And this is the question. Should we then switch to a life-ray system and use the repository internally, or should we not? But it's all based on the feedback of the users, and we're going with that in an agile fashion. So this is what's still left. And what we did, basically, is use Alfresco Share. And that's what we love about the repository, is that we're looking at it in that perspective. That's a repository, and we're doing whatever complementing is possible. But once we find the solution not feasible enough in Share, then we look at a specialized tool that is available there in the market and perhaps integrate it to the repository, just like SAP. For example, we're looking at Jira for the first time. Jira, if you're familiar with it, and from Atlassian. And we're really interested in making it into a departmental context instead of a development world, and using it for in and out correspondence and follow-ups within departmental context. And in that sense, we found it very mature, very reliable, and we only want to integrate it with the content. Alfresco Share took a nice customization that we're doing, project context, department context, committee, because there's a lot of activity, and knowledge-based context where community of practices are developing there. So I always refer to this one because we are at that stage. We're focusing there, and we have a lot to do to enable all of this unstructured data to become structured and well-maintained under one system. So this is the challenge that needs to be proven yet. And that was the Jira integration, which we are really encouraging a lot. And such ideas, what I mean. Otherwise, there's so much to do with Alfresco. Development takes sometimes time. And we're looking to pay attention and talk to partners so that they can actually utilize such platform. So we're looking forward to flip the tables and have a good journey with Alfresco. And I hope this product and this organization and the community stay true to the knowledge-based perspective that I just showed you. Such organizations are available everywhere, and they are very much knowledge-intensive on that scale. We would love to see Alfresco growing into a real platform and mind the gap. What can I say? It's this promise that we have that, for example, the community figures out this knowledge problem in all of these organizations and provides something generic that can help enter all of these organizations into this concept. Using plugins, plug-and-play installation, like Atlassian. If you see Atlassian, the way they did it, they kind of went from understanding what is their problem and then forming such stability in their platform so that it was very easy to shop for some plugins, take them in, take them out easily, and customers are able on their own to use the system out of the box. So a very basic literature with technology, like us and the team, were able to install Atlassian software and Jira software immediately and experiment with it easily. And this provides a very good direction for Alfresco to invest and share. Thank you very much for attending. I hope this was helpful and generates some inspiration as well. Thank you.
Thank you also from my side, because it's perfect to have a customer talking about this, so interesting. And I think Amin is really a good source. Talk to him afterwards. He visited also other development banks. I think he has a lot of thoughts on which direction it can move. So we can also learn from the customer. So thank you very much, Amin.
Welcome.
And
thank you.
Yeah, feel free to give us any questions.
I have questions. I have a microphone so that we can
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Yes, please.
Hi, you briefly mentioned LifeRay, and I'm curious, were you looking to integrate possibly with a portal or with the social capabilities they have, or both?
Yeah, it's a very good question, because we also have SharePoint inside our organization. And the talks now with the owners of these platforms as well is that, hey, SharePoint is acting as a portal. And now they're changing their perspective from an ECM concept into we are a portal solution for the first time as well. So, and we can see clearly how SharePoint identity is clarifying with us. So LifeRay is very ideal based on the consultations that we had with some other partners as well. And it's nice to have, but now it depends on us to really do that switch from SharePoint dependencies. So we're trying to convince each other with the move and analyze whether it's yes or no. We're also very interested if really SharePoint can be a true LifeRay alternative, for example, for web content management. And that's still also under investigation. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually, maybe I have one question. You shed a little bit light on Jira.
Yes.
Can you explain a little bit more? Because for Jira, I mean, you have plugins like Agile plugin, which is more like managing your project. But in this case, in this context, what are you exactly using Jira for?
Oh, Jira is used for project management of basically agile software development, but you can also tweak it and change it into a departmental context or office work. So you can follow up with the tasks, and you can give them deadlines, and you can see who has what, etc. And we did that. So in terms of tools for issue tracking, Jira is very much advanced. It happens to be, I think, the accelerator is us as software developers. We really need to get done with these tasks. But compared to other tools in the market, it's way more advanced. So we looked at the plugin. It was done by App Innovation, I think, or App Fusion. And we find it very humble, though, the plugin that was done. And we're looking forward. So we're advising that such opportunities should not be left out from integrating specialized tools that are mature in the market with Alfresco. It's a great win for this concept. And we look forward that such plugins get matured quickly. So we're trying to accelerate this part on our side. There's also some other tools you cannot imagine, like Smartsheet, which is a cloud-based service as well, can benefit a lot. So, project management tools, which are data-centric tools that depends on data, and then content separated. So separate the concerns while maintaining a good integration, and you're good to go, instead of really building everything from scratch.
My question is to Volker. Do you have any experience with Oracle ERP integration?
No, we are really only SAP. I'm sorry. We are very focused.
Welcome.
Very interesting talk. Thank you very much. You mentioned that you were looking at case working, and you said you hadn't made any conclusions yet.
Yes.
What are the things that you are thinking about? What are the issues that are emerging to help you kind of decide for or against something? Is it questions around being able to connect to content, which can become part of a case?
Mm-hmm.
Are there questions around the ability to craft a user interface which is good for the user, and not simply exposing the outer box?
Yeah.
What other things are you thinking about as you do that?
I think it's good not to get motion sickness, just to get it straight back. The thing is that we're taking the users into a collaborative format, so that they can switch their context from email conversations and traditional ways, so that they can work with the concept of spaces and workspaces as such. Now the challenge is that, how many interfaces do you really want to introduce for all of these users? Should they really go from a lot of different interfaces, or should you take the opportunity in utilizing Alfresco Share, for example, in the same interface, and they swiftly go from one workspace to the other, and then collaboration can continue on. The challenges that we found, first of all, Share is not yet oriented to case management from within it, and I think there are intentions. I just saw that Alfresco is looking for a development effort in Share, and Workdesk was acquired. We thought Workdesk would be a good answer, but then we found out that we couldn't start with it immediately yet, and perhaps we should wait until things stabilize, yes or no. The other thing also, we don't have enough information about really what is case management for us. It could be different. So why not also try out this level of collaboration and then introduce case management while the users can actually wait for it, while they're having the learning curve. But we find that case management is really a big answer. It is, at the end, a really effective solution for their daily work. if we can give them a way to slightly manage the reporting of these cases, where they are, what happened to them, easily, then we're on a good track. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it should.
Yeah.
There's no more questions. I think it's break. I think the next thing is lunch. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.